starting off right at the line, getting ready to go. Gonna be starting in third gear, still starting on pole. I got Jose Alfe behind, or right beside me, and we're already starting off. So Alfe gets a pretty good push from behind, which came from Tyler Klein, which came from my teammate Zach. So I was sort of on my own a little bit. And the one thing about bump drafting is that it's absolutely allowed. It's actually encouraged within SPEC Miata. It's just when you get it to the faster series, so when you get into racing NCs or NDs in the SPEC MX5 series or the Global MX5 series, it isn't really as encouraged because you're going so quickly. So we're coming through turn 3 right now, and there's a bit of dust that's kicking up a little bit. So someone had dumped a bunch of oil on track all throughout the course. So I made a decision, or it was asked, you know, what did I want to do for the field since I'm on pole, and I'm given the decision to say, all right, should we do 2 pace laps or do 1? I chose to do 2, and everyone agreed, and we were just able to push just fine. So not a bad start entirely. Like Alfe and I are way out ahead. We're far ahead from everyone else at this point, and it sort of reminds me a little bit of how it was when we were battling it out at VIR back in August last year, where we were just going at it. It was one of the best battles I had of that season last year, and to do it all over again, it does bring back some memories. But in the moment, I was just more focused, like, okay, we have a race to do. There's no time to really focus on what happened in the past. We had a good fight in August, so I definitely want it to be a good fight this time around here. So I'm catching him, and the one thing about this type of track is, since you don't have a whole lot of aero, you don't have to worry about you don't have to really entirely worry about dirty airs in comparison to F1. You can fall behind somebody and stick behind them like as if you're stuck to their bumper, like as if you got glue or something like that. But the draft on this track in particular helps out a lot. It really helps out a lot. So we're coming through turn 7, coming out quite nicely. My teammate is up in third with me. He's right there, which I'm happy about. I'm really happy that I was able to get up there past Tyler Klein. Coming around the final corner, back onto the straights. Yep, lift up my visor. So usually, and people have said this a couple times, like a lot of people would say, you know, keep your visor down. I sort of keep my visor up a little bit. I just kind of prefer it that way. But if I need to, then I will keep my visor down. So I look down the inside coming into turn 1 a little bit, just kind of see what it would look like. I wasn't trying to really pass. I was just sort of assessing the situation, just trying to figure out, okay, how does this situation look in terms of me passing him. Doesn't look too bad. See that Alfe goes a little bit wide into turn 4, and he has a different approach coming into turn 5 that's a bit different from my own, and that usually happens when you have different styles of driving. You have people that do things differently, especially in certain corners. Like coming through turn 6 and 7, you'll see people take it differently. Some people will like to hug the inside, some people will like to go wide on entry and then bring it back in for turn 7. Some like to stay in the middle for turn 6 and then bring her on in turn 7 and hammer on the gas. It all depends on the different driving styles, and I think that's what makes SPEC Miata really interesting, is that you do have different styles. But that's just natural in any kind of racing. You always gotta have different styles in general. So I'm purposely staying behind Alfe at this point. I'm not wanting to pass just yet because I was wanting to find a way and see if we can bring everyone a little bit closer. But I was also assessing Orphe's pace as well. Like, I wanted Zach to be right there with me because I still wanted it to be a 1-2 with both of us, and I was thinking about strategically in terms of saving tires, but also making it to where Zach can catch up. But I was also watching Orphe as well and see what he was doing, so when I pass him, I kind of have an idea of what his line is like and I can take advantage. And this is where the sort of experimenting comes in, where I'm just testing things out, like, okay, will he pull away, will it get closer, those kinds of things. So we're coming out of turn 7 into turn 8 and 9, and I'm all the way on the gas, and you can just see how quickly I catch up on Orphe because of the draft, but also just how it all works out. So I give him a nice bump, I give him a nice push ahead, and at this point I'm like, okay, I think I know how this is all gonna work. I know what Orphe will do now, so I start to think about where are some opportunities to pass. And there's some good ones. Roebling is a very easy track. I'd say the easiest track that I've been on in terms of SPEC Miata. There hasn't really been a track that's much easier than this. So I'm just staying with them, and I'm just waiting for the right moment. Coming around turn 5, and the one thing about going on an old track or a track that hasn't been paved in a while is that it gets very, very slick. It gets very slick when it comes to the races, especially when they're super hot. So you'll be sliding or understeering a lot, and it makes it very, very hard to maneuver around the circuit. It's not always fun. Sliding around isn't always the most fun thing to do, especially when you're in the fight for a win this time. So I make the pass, I pop out around to the right side, and I see the bat marker there, and I'm thinking I could probably use him as a pick on Orphe and see if I could pull away. So now that I've taken the lead, and what that also has done is sort of make things slow down just a little bit so that Zach can catch up as well. So we're coming around turn 3, we're coming towards the bat marker, and I'm confident because I know what Orphe has been doing the entire time of the race. He would miss the apex just a little bit in turn 4. So we pass the bat marker, and that's created a decent buffer. The plan hasn't entirely worked, but it did work a little bit. And we're all together now. We're all sort of in the same area now. And Zach isn't too far away from Orphe, and I'm not too far, and I'm a little bit ahead of Orphe. But now I'm sort of thinking like, okay, we're going onto the main straight. Will the draft help him out? You know, is he going to try and is he going to be able to catch up? And I was looking maybe 2-3 times down the straight just to kind of see what it looks like, just to know, all right, is he going to catch me by the end of the straight by the time we get to the braking zone? And do I need to defend? And I get a really, really good gap coming out of turn 2. Very nicely done. And then Zach is right behind him, and I was just thinking like, all right, Zach, that's all you gotta do. Just keep up with him, and we'll make it. We'll make it a 1-2 again. Hopefully we can do it. And we're coming up on another pair of bat markers, but this time they're fighting for position. And this makes the situation a little bit more difficult than usual, but it's not too bad. It's not too crazy. You just have to really be patient as a leader. Like, yes, they are supposed to get out of the way, but you also have to be a little patient as well. So I pass one of them. The other one doesn't go on the inside, so I resort to going the outside, which isn't the most optimal place to pass. So I had to immediately defend. Olfe goes in, and I get pushed by him. I see Zach, and I'm thinking, okay, this is a weird position because both of them are side by side. I'm just gonna take the defending line in case Olfe is able to catch up. And I'm trying to see how things would work out for me. I'm more focused on just myself in the moment, but I look up and I still see that Zach is still behind Olfe, so I was like, alright, things are still looking pretty good. And we're just all together. We're all together now. It's much like Saturday's race, a little bit. I'm able to pull away from Olfe a little bit through turn 5. Coming into turn 6, go out wide, be in the middle, get right back on the gas through turn 7. Looks very nice. I can tell that I pulled away from him a little bit, but that draft is going to bring it right back. I was just thinking, like, that probably isn't far enough. That isn't good enough. I would have to pull away a lot if I was gonna have a good chance. So he gets closer. Hopefully he's getting closer. I thought maybe I can just make it for another lap, and I did. I'm just trying to be as smooth as possible. When you're in the lead, when you're in this position, it's a whole different game. It's not like running in the midfield. You know, the stakes are a little bit higher, and it's just a different speed overall. But if you can handle the pressure of being in the lead, then you don't really have to worry about it all that much. It's something that it's when you're in the front pack, or when you're in the lead for the first time, it's definitely a new feeling. It's something that makes you think like, oh man, I'm in the lead, I'm in a really, really good position now, you know, I can win this. But you have to concentrate on what's going on now instead of what's going on at the finish line. So again, nice gap on Olfe, and the whole idea is to try and pull away. It is, despite there being a draft and despite the fact that Miatas don't have that much power, it is absolutely possible to pull away from somebody. You just have to be able to carry a lot of speed, and you just have to be willing to push really hard. But you also have to know the circuit pretty well if you're gonna be able to do that. And for a moment, I was able to do so on Olfe, but it just didn't work out, obviously. So Olfe gets a good line through 3, downshift right into 3rd, coming through turn 4. I'm just trying to carry the speed. And right now, I'm doing the same thing that I was doing before I passed Olfe, experimenting, just thinking, okay, how is this looking? Am I able to pull away here? Is he catching me here? You know, what do I need to change with each and every single lap if there's a mistake? And if there's something that I need to change, then absolutely I will do so. So we're coming up on another group of bat markers right now, and we're going to meet them coming out of turn 2, and this is where Olfe makes the pass on me. I tried to defend, but it was already a bit too late by the time I tried to. So I was on the outside of 1 and 2. It was side by side together. I'm able to get a good run on the outside, coming into 4th gear. But unfortunately, we couldn't make it through. We were not going to make it through wide into turn 3, and I had to back down, unfortunately. So now I'm dropping back down to second. Zach is still with us. I'm coming up on another back marker. And we get past him really nicely. And it's back to square one. And I knew at this point, it's like, you know, it's a part of racing. But it's a lesson that you have to learn. You know, how to sort of navigate through back markers, and this was something that I haven't really learned yet. In karting, I've done it before where I've gone up on back markers, but we didn't go up on back markers that often. So in SPEC Miata here, this is like the first real experience where I'm fighting for the lead, but I'm also dealing with back markers. So I look down the inside, and then I actually make the pass this time. Sort of second attempt. There's something in my eye at that time. So we come out, we're side by side. I get on the gas a lot sooner than I did beforehand, just to try and make sure that Olfe doesn't get around the outside on me, because I knew he can get a good run because I was able to do it. I was able to do it the previous lap, coming out of turn 2 and getting a good run, so I knew, alright, I have to make sure Olfe doesn't get that as well. So we're coming up on another back marker. I'm able to get a nice, clean run, just a little bit. I may have messed up a tiny bit, but not too much. We're coming out of turn 7, and there he is. So this time I get past him really nicely. I give him a little thumbs up as a thank you. Go around turn 9, and Olfe's right on me, and I know good and well I'm gonna have to defend. So I guard the inside, and Olfe's going all the way down. I know that he's looking for an opportunity. So he goes on the outside, and I knew exactly what I needed to do. And I get right on third gear, downshift to third gear, get on the gas immediately. But Olfe still has a pretty good run coming out of turn 2. So we're really, really close. So coming out of turn 3, I'm thinking, okay, he's done this before where he would try to pass him 4. So I'm already thinking about that. He's gonna do it. And with how many laps left, he'll do it really, really soon. So we're coming up on one more. This should be the last. No, this isn't. No, this should be like one of the last few back markers that we see for the race. So I come out of turn 7 almost exactly. That's exactly what I need to do, and that's why I needed to sort of get a gap between Olfe and I. So I use the back marker to draft. He's also one of my teammates as well, so I get a small draft to try and get away, but I also moved to try and break the draft because I knew Olfe was wanting to get the slipstream from me. Zach is still there, and at the time I was just thinking like, okay, Olfe's still there, Zach is still there, this might be a good podium for all of us right now. If only Zach can just get ahead on Olfe. Through turn 5. Doing really nicely. It's all about keeping it smooth on a track like this, but even just in general, keeping it smooth, it makes it a lot easier if you're being sort of calm and you're slowly transitioning. For me, it's always been something that I learned how to do in LO206, where my mentor Al would say, be smooth with your inputs. Don't try to force the car. Don't try to force it to do something that it may not be ready for, or try to drift it into a corner. Just be smooth and just be calm. And I took that to heart, and it became my racing style. Being precise, clinical, and just smooth. Coming around turn 4, I see those back markers coming through turn 4, and this is about to be this is the second to last lap right now. And I was ready. I was prepared to push as hard as I can. I slip a little bit coming out of turn 5, and that gives Olfe a really, really nice way of getting closer. So now that he's closer, I'm just like, okay, this is a new situation. We're going to be side by side coming into turn 1, because he's got a good draft. I know he does. And I know that he's pushing really hard right now. So I'm going to have to be ready. Alright, so the final lap, I go for a defensive immediately. Olfe takes the outside. I'll let him get right up with me on purpose, because I knew exactly what I needed to do, which was get on the gas immediately. Oh, there goes Zach. Oh, jeez, I didn't see that. I did not see the review cam. So we get back. So we get past the back markers. Yeah, I did not even expect that. So Olfe goes to the inside. I defend immediately because I knew what was going to happen. He hits the dirt just a little bit, but for a moment I remember thinking, like, you're going to have to hit me. You're going to have to hit me if you're going to win, because I'm going to be really defensive this time. But I know Olfe isn't like that at all, so we come through turn 6, 7. All I remember to myself was be patient, get on the throttle, come out of turn 7, and just bring it home. Coming around turn 8, turn 9, and I remember just immediately thinking, break the draft immediately. And I did it. My first ever win in SPEC Miata. That was a crazy race. I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't believe it. I remember saying, unbelievable, this is absolutely unbelievable. And I got on the radio and asked if Zach was okay, because I think either Steve or Zach said something, and I didn't see Zach crossing the line behind us, and I was really, really worried, because it's just like, are you all right? Is everything okay? Because I didn't even know that he had went off, or how he went off. He had told me that he went off, but I didn't know how until now. I didn't even know it. And yeah, that really sucked for him, but it was just an amazing feeling to win my first ever race in the way that I did. Was crazy. To fight it out was the exact thing that I wanted more than anything else. And to do it exactly a year later from when I first debuted in SPEC Miata made it all the more better, in my opinion. So it was a beautiful race. I couldn't have asked for anything else. Yes, it would have been awesome if I sweep the weekend, but the fact that we were able to get a 1-2, the fact that Zach, my teammate, was able to get a win, his first win, not just the podium, but his first win in SPEC Miata was awesome. And of course, I wanted my first win as well, so I did everything I could to do so. So honestly, it was a great race. It did remind me a little bit of how it was between Olfe and I back in VIR, where it was the two of us. And we were just fighting it out. And the incident that we had where I had tried to make the pass around the outside and roller coaster, it just didn't work out. And it wasn't really a bump and run. It was just, hey, I just didn't clear him enough when I tried to make the pass. But overall, amazing race, and I can't wait for more races like this.